Hello and welcome to Ryno's Ravens review. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Well, Ravens could not beat the Steelers, or I guess I should say Ravens' second team could not beat Steelers' first team. Probably a no-brainer there, though they did do it in 2019. I think the Ravens had a little bit more experienced quarterback in Robert Griffin III. Tyler Huntley didn't look great. Get to some of the notes I wrote down about this game. Ravens lost both games against the Steelers, but still won the division. I mean, I guess I can live with that. I'm gonna have to. I guess I'm not happy that couldn't get one more touchdown. Kind of a sloppy game overall. Weather conditions were not great. Raining most of the game, if not the whole game, so very wet and waterlogged footballs made it difficult to hold on to. Yeah, with nothing to play for, Ravens didn't play well on either side of the football. They did have a few good plays, but as a whole, no. I mean, in the trenches, they got blown off the ball. Both sides did. I mean, Steelers ran all over the Ravens defense. Of course, who was out? I mean, for the defense, Hamilton was out, which probably was a no-brainer since he's somewhat injured. Um, Roquan Smith didn't play, which was kind of a shock. Though I know he has been fighting through an injury. I guess I thought Patrick Queen's injury was a little bit more severe, but apparently it wasn't. Marlon Humphrey didn't play. So having big pieces like that out, I mean, especially Roquan Smith, yeah, your defense wasn't going to perform well. Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham Jr., Kevin Zeitler out was going to mean that your offense was not going to do a whole lot, if anything, and therefore keep putting the defense on the field. Tire out real quick. Yeah, sloppy game overall. Lots of fumbles. There were like 8 fumbles in the game. That's a lot. And as you can see here, I'm on BaltimoreRavens.com. There's not even, usually there's a score here of the last game. It's not even mentioned. They're already on to Cincinnati. Quoting Bill Belichick, who may no longer be the coach of the New England Patriots. We'll have to keep our eye on that. But yeah, the regular season's over. It's time for that 2-week break and then figure out who your first playoff opponent will be. But let's talk a little bit more about this game. Here is the game center from BaltimoreRavens.com. Take a look at Tyler Huntley's numbers. 15 for 28. 146 yards passing with a touchdown. Yeah, not great numbers at all. Not great. Just a shade above 50% completion rating. That's not a good thing. That's terrible. 1 touchdown pass. I mean, that's really not that bad, but that's the only points. Or I guess they did get a field goal. That's the only touchdown you get, and your opponent gets 2 touchdowns. That's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. Gus Edwards had an okay game running the ball, though he did fumble, which it's tough to say because he has fumbled a few times this year. Not that there are no running backs out there that don't ever fumble. The way they're held up and have their arm punched at, they're going to lose the football. It's going to happen. I mean, defenders are going for the ball a lot more than they used to. Partially because there's not a whole lot else they can do on defense. Very slick and wet ball. So, of course, the ball was going to come out. Oddly enough, you don't see any Justice Hill runs. Probably on purpose, try to keep some wear and tear off of him. Huntley did have 8 runs, which is, I mean, you kind of expected that. Melvin Gordon ran the ball not well. 7 rushes for 18 yards. And he fumbled at least once, pretty sure. So that's something somebody mentioned on the website, and then I closed the article. I can't remember who it was. Maybe I can find it somewhere here. Yeah, here you go. Right here. This article right here. Show you who wrote it. A Mr. Kyle Phoenix, writer. Don't know who exactly he works for. Because of, yes, and I understand the game condition, the weather condition during the game, it wasn't great. But because of the poor performance by Melvin Gordon, the low yards per attempt and the drop does kind of open the door more for Dalvin Cook to be featured more than he may have been. Gus Edwards was probably the go-to guy, but even he struggled to hang on to the football. It's possible Dalvin Cook could see even more snaps than we previously might have thought, which may or may not be a good thing. I mean, he is a very good running back. He was playing on a shit team. The Jets suck. Ravens and their run-blocking offensive line don't really suck. So there is potential there for Dalvin Cook to be very valuable and very useful for us in the playoff run. See the offensive numbers. Aguilar with the most catches. He had 5. Likely 2 catches, 31 yards, long of 27. That was the touchdown. So let's go to my offensive notes. Huntley did not look against pressure. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's Pittsburgh. They're gonna blitz. They're gonna pass rush. They do it very well. So I didn't think Huntley looked that good being under pressure from T.J. Watt, Highsmith on the other side. Now, is that from lack of experience? Because he really, I mean, yes, Huntley did get several games last year, but that was also a year ago. He doesn't play much football between now and then. So is it from lack of experience, or is it because Huntley's just not that good? If you can't handle being pressured, blitzes, just a normal pass rush, if you can't handle that, then you probably don't have what it takes to be a quarterback in this league. So maybe the Ravens should go in a different direction with their backup quarterback. I think the tough part is if they'd have got, let's say, if they'd have moved Huntley last year, they would have been selling high on Huntley. They let him go this year, they're going to be selling low, which is it's not great. Part of it was you wanted to keep Huntley because you think he mirrors Lamar Jackson the most, so therefore your offense won't suffer as much. Though, if he's not that good, what does it matter? Likely. Yeah, okay. Likely, great run after the catch. You see it was 27 yards, so they were on the 27-yard line. Well, he caught the ball at the 10. Broke 2 tackles to get in the end zone. Just shedded off the guy that was covering him very easily and nonchalantly. And then Patrick Peterson, yes, the longtime corner, played with the Cardinals mostly. And then where did he go? Did he go to the Eagles? I can't remember, honestly. He's in Pittsburgh now with the Steelers, trying to make that transition from corner to safety, prolong his career a little bit more. Going to have to learn how to take down tight ends a little bit more than that, because likely just kind of took his big old paw and just put it in his face and just shoved him to the ground. Did get tripped up a little bit. Patrick Peterson did trip him up a little bit, but likely 6'4" and was able to stretch the ball out into the end zone. So it was a very good play by Isaiah Likely. And gloating on myself a little bit. I told you so. I told you so. How many touchdowns does Isaiah Likely have since he became the starting tight end? Yeah. Probably as many as Andrews would have had. Andrews might have had a little bit more. Andrews might have gotten more targets. From the tight end position, it doesn't look like the Ravens have been missing a beat since Mark Andrews was injured. Now, I'm not saying we get rid of Andrews. And no, I'm not saying we trade Isaiah Likely. We keep both of them, and you start running 21 personnel more. 21 personnel being 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, and 1 running back. At least, I'm pretty sure I got my football lingo straight there. And part of the reason you do that is because you have 2 really big targets in the tight end position. It doesn't really hurt you in the passing game because they have such a large catch radius. And you're still leaving 2 corners on the outside. So I'm not two corners. 2 wide receivers to take the 2 corners from the defense. And most likely 1 safety. Because you're going to have to cover deep a little bit. So then who's covering your 2 tight ends? 1 safety and the linebackers. That's not good. Well, you'll take that any day of the week when your 2 tight ends are Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. You win that matchup. You win. Because between Andrews and Likely, there are a few linebackers that can run with them. There are. But not that many. And there's also not that many safeties that are big enough to handle Andrews or Likely. So that's why tight ends can be very useful. That's why you see a lot of really good tight ends out there. It's because there is a balance in there between being able to run block and be able to be a receiver, essentially. What that creates is you can create the mismatches because what does the defense think? Oh, you got a bunch of tight ends in there. Oh, well, they're going to run the ball. Well, then they start throwing the ball. The defense can't be set in, let's say, a heavy run defense or a heavy pass defense. Defense has to go more of a neutral defense. Therefore, they really can't specialize in anything. But you, as in the offense, gives you the advantage there. All right, that's enough talking about that. Let's go to NFL.com. Dive a little bit more into the statistics here. Gus Edwards, even though he fumbled, he still did average 4.8 yards a rush. It's not terrible. I mean, you'll absolutely take that, but you do have to hold on to the football. Here you go, Melvin Gordon, 2.5 yards a rush. That's not great. Nelson Aguilar actually did get 5 targets, caught all 5 balls, which, that's pretty good. It really is good for Aguilar, and I guess technically, even though I was dogging Huntley there, that's 5 completions to a wide receiver. That's pretty good. Isaiah Likely, same thing. 2 for 2 on the targets. Justice Hill, which is very odd here, 3 catches on 10 targets. He targeted Justice Hill 10 times in the passing game. Wow. Okay. Kohler got in there, got some action. He got 3 catches. Quan Treadwell, practice squad mostly. He got a catch. Tylan Wallace, mainly special teamer, punt returner, and I guess Justice Hill does a little more kick returning, though Tylan Wallace can do the job. More because of depth. You didn't have Beckham, you didn't have Flowers. You really don't want Aguilar in there that much because he is your third best. I guess he's your third best wide receiver. Bateman also saw some action. Nobody threw him the football, which is disappointing, but however, it's good to see some of these, wide receivers, especially I think come off the practice squad and get some reps in there with the offense. Quarterback, you kind of need a little bit more consistent reps to get in there. You can see Gus Edwards and Melvin Gordon both lost fumbles. But now transitioning over to the defense, you can see Clowney, Jeremiah Moon, Del'Shawn Phillips, Kyle Van Noy with a double F right here, forced fumbles. Ravens weren't able to recover all of them, but they recovered a few of them. So that did help not make the score too lopsided. It probably would have been a lot more lopsided. What do I got? Big defensive note. Clowney gets another sack. And came in kind of a weird situation because he kind of chopped at Rudolph, right? Mason Rudolph's. No. Who the hell was the quarterback for the Steelers? Yes, Mason Rudolph. Okay. Making sure I got my names right because they were kind of debating on who to start. The Steelers were, anyway. Kind of chops at Rudolph's arm. Ball comes flying out. But when they reviewed it, they looked and they saw that the ball was out before Rudolph's hands was going forward. So, fumble. Therefore, sack. And what that meant for Clowney was he got the bonus in his contract, gets such and such many sacks. I think it was around 9, because he should be at 9.5 for the year. And he gets a bonus. So, congratulations to Davian Clowney. He tied his career high, I think, in sacks. And ends up getting a couple extra bucks for the bonus there. Kyle Van Noy also got a sack. You saw with the forced fumble. Which, I mean, it happens, right? You draft this player and you draft that player, and who ends up being, your primary guys? The somewhat big free agent in Jadeveon Clowney. I mean, he's getting a little up there. Not too much, but, football years, he is getting kind of up there. And the guy you picked up off the street 2 or 3 weeks into this season because for whatever reason, nobody else wanted him. But, it's Kyle Van Noy and Jadeveon Clowney getting all the pressure. And where is Odafe Owe and David Ojabo? The most recent high-profile draft picks that were pass rushers for the Ravens. Well, Ojabo, and I may have missed this because I don't know if I remember. I knew he had gotten some kind of injury, but apparently several months ago he ended up having surgery that would end his season. I don't know if I remember he had his surgery. I know he got injured and was going to miss time. I don't know if I did a follow-up because I probably just forgot because he hasn't done a whole lot for the team in general. He has been in on a few plays, yes, but it's just a few plays. It's like you get to a point where your first 2 years and you only played 5 games? Why do I care about you anymore? Get on the field, man. Come on now. I understand injuries happen, but you got to get on the field and do something. Owe actually has been dealing with injuries this year. Did something to his ankle early in the game against the Steelers and didn't return. Now, whether that was really precautionary because there is damage to the ankle, you don't want to further damage it. You want to give him the 2 weeks to try to heal, or, if it is more significant. We haven't gotten great feedback from the Ravens yet, though it is early in this process. Also, injuries. The safety, Geno Stone and Del'Shawn Phillips, had a collision. And I think they listed, Stone with a knee injury and Del'Shawn with a shoulder injury. First thoughts, from a post-game press conference, it's not too serious of an injury to the fact that they think that Phillips or Geno Stone or even Odafe Owe won't be available for the playoffs. That's not the case. Very hopeful that with this rest, Stone, Phillips, Owe will be able to go for the first playoff game. Hopefully it's the first playoff game, first of many. But it is disappointing that there was some injury there. And so, I mean, we'll have to keep an eye on Ajabo and Owe going forward because from what I can tell, Van Noy and Clowney, yeah, I mean, they're good. I'm not trying to say they're not good, but they're kind of the old dudes, man. You need a young dude in there with them. One, to learn from them. Two, fresher set of legs to get in there and, give them some relief. But I don't know where it is. Come on, DaCosta. You need a left tackle because I'm sorry, but with Stanley's injuries, he's done. I don't know that you can really rely on him to be your left tackle. And you need a pass rusher. Because you have to replace your older guys with young guys at some point, so might as well do it now. Because you sure as hell don't need wide receiver. You got enough wide receivers, you got enough tight ends, okay? I understand there's skill position guys. If there's great ones in the draft, you're going to want to go for them. But where the Ravens are hurting, they're hurting with pass blocking. And yeah, I know the Ravens, especially with these 3 sacks, able to finish the year with the most sacks in the NFL. And here I am saying, oh, you need more pass rushers. Well, when your better ones are getting up there in age, yeah, you're going to have to replace them or you won't have the same production continue. Oh, Trenton Simpson. Trenton Simpson had a pretty good game. Where's number 30? I'm not 100% sure if he's listed as a safety or an outside linebacker, probably a little bit of a hybrid. I think in my opinion, he looks a little smaller than, let's say, an outside linebacker, but with the way the league is gone, some outside linebackers have gotten a little smaller. So essentially, he's like a big safety, really. But he had, here you go, you can see he was in on 6 tackles, he had a sack, and he had 2 tackles for a loss. So, played very well. Which is good because you got to have depth. You got to have depth at linebacker. And you're most likely going to because they're kind of, your big tacklers on special teams. Yeah, just look at this line. I mean, this is NFL.com. I do like how they lay out each drive. Punt, Steelers touchdown. Then punt, fumble, punt, Ravens touchdown, fumble, end of half. Wow. Punt. That's where your 3 drives in the third quarter. Wow. Steelers touchdown, Ravens punt, Steelers punt, Ravens fumble, Steelers field goal, Ravens field goal. End of game. Wow. It definitely was one of the less exciting games, I guess, that you will ever see between the Ravens and the Steelers. Part of it is a little messy, part of it, Ravens just didn't play. And why didn't they play? Well, come over here to... Oh, well, this is the wild card schedule. Where was the... well... I have no idea. Where's the other standings? Playoff picture. Ravens locked up the first seed in the NFL. They locked it up last week. Or, really the AFC, I guess. Bills locked up their 2 seed yesterday. Chiefs were locked into the 3 seed. Texans 4 seed. And these are the division winners. Bills won the East. Chiefs won the West. Texans won the South. That's right. The Bills ended up winning the East. Dolphins kind of screwed the pooch there on themselves. Browns got a wild card. Dolphins got a wild card. Steelers got a wild card. 3 teams from the AFC North got in. Wasn't really expecting to see all 3 of them in there, and it wasn't even the Bengals because Burrow was hurt. What's it going to look like next year? Not going to look great. All right, so taking a look at the schedule here, Ravens will not play next week because they have the bye week, but they will be watching the Browns at Texans, Dolphins at Chiefs, and Steelers at Bills. They will be watching that, trying to figure out who they're going to play. Kind of up in the air, but it will be the lowest seed remaining between these 6 teams. Trying to get used to this being 3 games in each conference being played wild card weekend. Since they added another wild card team, only 1 team gets a bye. Who was the lowest? Pittsburgh was the lowest seed. So if Pittsburgh wins, it doesn't matter what anybody else does. Pittsburgh will come back here. And then who was the next? The Dolphins. If the Dolphins win, yeah. Most likely one of these wild card teams will win. At least one. So Ravens will most likely play a wild card team. But we'll just have to wait and see. And because the Ravens have an off week, I will not do a Ravens preview or a Ravens review this week. I will wait until there's an actual game that is scheduled for the Ravens to play. So, about a 2-week break for me as well. But subscribe to the channel and you'll be alerted when videos do drop. That's going to do it for this edition of Ryno's Ravens review. I will see you in 2 weeks. I am the Angry Ryno. Fly, Ravens, fly.